Hi everyone, welcome on board to Xpøs.tv, where you get the reliable news that is tailored for you, and of course where you can actually comment and interact.
The second vice chairman of Delta State Council of Traditional Rulers, Pere SP Luke Kalanama 7, in his interview speaks on the claim that alleged ceding of land to herdsmen in the state by traditional rulers is chiefly responsible for elders' killing in Delta State. He went on to reveal a lot, and I want you to be very, very attentive so that we would understand why certain things are happening the way it is in Nigeria. And oftentimes we are quick to point fingers at the Hausa Fulanis alone, as if they are the ones that have all the ability, all the power to do and undo. The traditional ruler addresses other factors suspected to be contributing to the alarming state of the crisis. Herdsmen killings have been a source of tension in Delta State, with about 30 camps identified as places where herders launch attacks on communities in the state. Traditional rulers in Delta State have been accused of ceding land to herdsmen. The act has been identified as a contributory factor to the insistent killing of natives by cattle rearers in the state. The incessant killings is attributed to traditional rulers in Delta State and possibly some other states in Nigeria ceding land to herdsmen. As one of the leaders of the State Council of Traditional Rulers, he was asked, "What can you say about this allegation?" He said, "The Traditional Council in Delta State, led by the chairman, Obi of Owa Kingdom, Obi Emmanuel Efezomo, the first vice chairman, Rđsm of Okpe, and myself met recently because of the increasing rate of clashes between herdsmen and the host communities, especially in Delta North Senatorial District. Early this year, we also witnessed clashes between herdsmen and their host community in Ughelli North Local Government Area, specifically in Agadama town. No fewer than 10 people died in that incident. Recent clashes became a source of worry to the traditional rulers, and we have seen that government is doing its best. The governor has convened 2 security meetings to put an end to the crisis. It appears all efforts have not yielded desired results. As a result of that, at our meeting, which was held last Thursday, we asked the Commissioner of Police to come and brief us on what is happening in Delta North and other parts of the state, in addition to the clashes between herdsmen and natives, particularly in Okanam. Kidnapping for ransom is also widespread there. The commissioner came and briefed us. Another issue discussed was the influx of Amajiris into the state. Of course, you know that there is no end to this influx of Amajiris in the north. Who they are coming to the north to see is something that I cannot explain. Many people have called them foot soldiers. Foot soldiers. Foot soldiers. That is what many of them have been called. Now, he went further to express this. He said, the commissioner who came to brief them, what he briefed them about, he said, since his men are manning the borders, we are surprised that the borders became so porous to the extent that people can actually come into the state freely without being stopped by the police. The police commissioner, in his response, said from their preliminary findings, they discovered that most of the traditional rulers in Delta State, in Delta North, where the crisis is alarming, gave out land under dispute to herdsmen. Sometimes they are sold completely to them or given to them in exchange for something. If you think your governor is the only person, that is why at times the governor, they cannot even, they are unable to produce results sometimes. I have always said that there are 3, and the last 4, I will tell you. 1, the politicians that you elected or they selected themselves. 2, monarchs, such as these traditional rulers. 3, religious clerics, pastors, imams, and the rest of them. And the last, but not the least, is you out there that enable them to perpetrate this crime. As you can see, Deltas are selling off lands to the Hausa Fulanis. He also told us that the vigilante groups set up by various committees to check the menace of the kidnapping and herdsmen clashes with host communities have been successfully infiltrated by the herdsmen. The vigilante groups are actually members of the communities, but the police commissioner said as things are today, they have been infiltrated by Fulani herdsmen and are the ones giving out information to the herdsmen who terrorize these areas. This is deep. First, traditional ruler. Now, the vigilante groups that are supposed to be members of the communities, but as it is today, they have been infiltrated by Fulani herdsmen who give out information to kidnappers and terrorists. The criminal elements among the herdsmen are those said to be involved in criminal activities. Since the indigenes of the communities connive with herdsmen, it is easy for the herders to carry out successful operations in the troubled communities. These were the observations of the police commissioner. He therefore called for concerted efforts by traditional rulers to rejig the security apparatus of the various communities. Since the vigilante groups have been infiltrated by the herdsmen, there is no need to look inwards to separate the bad. There is need to look inwards to separate the bad ones from the good ones. He said to a large extent, doing so would solve the problem. He went further to say that most of the kidnappings in Delta State, Delta North, were being made possible by some criminal natives who connive with Fulani herdsmen. They give information. They are the ones that give information. And that is why your sisters, your brothers, your sisters are being raped. Your mothers are being raped. It is information coming out from your own brother. He was asked, what is the resolution? Final resolution at the meeting. He said, we resolve the vigilante groups who have the responsibility of providing community policing. Actually, that is why there are clashes. The commissioner of police supported his findings by saying that there are no disturbances by herdsmen in Asaba, but from Opanam and Agbo to Opanam to Agbo is a theater of the crisis. These particular areas are Opanam, Isele, Azagba, Ubulu Okiti, Odisha, Ugbo, Azagba, Ogwash, and Ubulu Uku, among others. The herdsmen have become emboldened since they gave out some money to reside in those places. They feel that nobody can drive them out. Nobody can stop their activities, especially the destruction of farmland, since they paid money, since they've bribed. When we were growing up, herdsmen who visited our areas were not violent like the ones we have in our communities today. From time immemorial, Fulani herdsmen rear cattle in our areas, but the criminal elements amongst them have bastardized the trade to the extent that one becomes apprehensive when he sees herdsmen. The police commissioner told us that we should rejig the vigilante groups in our communities. He said doing that will reduce the frequent clashes between herdsmen and natives. Since the commissioner of police identified the ceding of land to herdsmen as a major contributor to the crisis, have your people identified the traditional rulers involved and how you are handling the matter? His response is, he said the chairman of the State Traditional Council is also the chairman of Delta North Traditional Council, Rulers Council. When the police made the resolution, and since it borders mainly on Delta North, the House resolved that our chairman, who doubles as chairman of Delta North Traditional Council, should convene an in-house meeting of his council. The revelations by the police have become sources of worry to all traditional rulers in the state, even though he said traditional rulers in North Delta are the ones involved. The allegation affects all traditional rulers in the state. One would not shy away from the fact that some traditional rulers, as a result of some reasons, give out land to herdsmen. Some do not give the land out awesomely. Sometimes the herdsmen come to my area, which is riverine, and they leave when the water starts rising. When they come, they tell us that they would be around for 3 months, after which they would leave. When they come with proposals that they are giving out some things to the community, some members of the giving community may suggest that the money should be accepted, but doing so is dangerous. If you collect money as a traditional ruler and give out land to herdsmen, the aftermath of that action will hurt the people of the community. Sometimes the herdsmen come with juicy offers which they make to some traditional rulers. They sometimes pledge to give 3 cows at the end of the season to a traditional ruler. Sometimes they come with money. There are some among us who can actually fall into such a temptation and give them land. When such a mistake is made, they build their huts in the bush or forest, after which they acquire more knowledge about the terrain more than the natives. Having established themselves in the forest, they become emboldened. We have advised traditional rulers from Delta North to stop them from building huts in the forest. They were also asked to stop farmers from building huts in their farms because some of them stay back and connive with the Fulani men at midnight. They should stop sleeping in the farms so the vigilante groups would know those in the forest and how to control them. But if many people sleep in the farm, it is difficult to identify criminal elements amongst herdsmen. Some traditional rulers give out land to herdsmen in exchange for material things. After the meeting, some of my friends from North Delta called me to complain about their OBs, their kings. They asked me to speak to their kings, adding that the police commissioner revelation was true. They told me that the commissioner claimed had justified their opposition to ceding of land to herdsmen by their kings. They even said that the kings always claim that they are giving lands to attract development to their kingdoms. I have equally called about 2 traditional rulers in North Delta to convey the feelings of their people about how they give out land. I advise them to carry out an introspection to identify areas they have not done well and where they need to make amends. Now, in these circumstances, it was asked, are you people considering any disciplinary action against any traditional ruler? Which is very important. He said, we have rules guiding our activities in the state. There are rules we set for ourselves and regulations were approved by the state government. In this case, we didn't envisage this particular problem when drafting the rules. We may have to invoke the doctrine of necessity if necessary. In our next meeting, we will do an appraisal. In Delta South, the so-called have issues with herdsmen, but it is not as alarming as what is happening in Delta North and Delta Central. The just speaking areas are riverine areas and do not have such a problem. The herdsmen come with their cows, but not in large numbers. Hopefully, in our next council meeting, which would come sometimes in June, we would address the issue. If after extensive deliberation, if there is need to impose some sanctions, we will do so, because the statement from the police commissioner rubs off on all the traditional rulers in Delta State. Delta State, what is happening? What is happening to you? This is serious. This is too deep. This is too deep. I don't know. Traditional rulers, people of the same village, town, cutting off land, selling off land, taking bribes. That is the reason why Hausa Fulanis are so bold in the southeast of Nigeria. Even if they want to call it Niger Delta region, they are so bold there. And they are there committing crime. They are committing crime. I don't know what the governor Kowa is doing. This is serious. But how much can he do if the traditional rulers that are supposed to work hand in hand with the local government there are now the ones selling off land and collecting cows and cash? And at the end of the day, people will come out screaming and shouting, and everything we say is Hausa Fulani, Hausa Fulani. If the fence is not broken, the serpent.
I say a very big thank you to those who have taken time to subscribe to this channel. And if you're yet to subscribe, kindly tap on that subscription button and also the red bell icon so you will be notified whenever videos such as this are uploaded.